What would you do if a thief was plaguing your high school? Your expensive belongings were stolen from a locked locker, and the school not only refused to help but blamed you for it? In today's story, the protagonist's response is a masterclass in vindication. This all went down back in the 2003 to 2004 school year. For the entire year, our high school was hit by a crime wave of thefts from lockers that were supposedly securely locked. It wasn't happening to everyone, but it was frequent enough that we all knew someone who'd been a victim. The school administration's only response to this ongoing problem was to blame us, the students, insisting it was our own fault for sharing locker combinations with friends. To add insult to injury, they actually charged us a fee every time we had to get a combination changed on a locker. For instance, after a theft, because they operated on the assumption that we were the ones at fault. Well, my turn came when my graphing calculator was lifted from my locker. I was meticulous about my combination. I never gave it out to anyone, mostly because my friends were a bunch of jackasses and we were constantly pulling pranks on each other. So there I was, out $150 for the calculator. For anyone who had to buy a TI-86 back in 2003, you'll understand just how much that stung. Then, the school slapped me with another $150 charge to have a locksmith change the lock on my locker. This was 2003 money, so it felt like a small fortune. Fortunately, my dad had a drinking buddy who happened to be a county detective. I'll call him Rick Miller, or Uncle Rick. He went to the school to talk about the string of thefts, hoping to get the security camera footage for the day my calculator vanished. He was completely brushed off by the principal, who told him it was a non-existent problem and that I must have given out his locker combination. The principal told Uncle Rick he'd need a warrant to see the camera footage. The principal made a fatal error at that moment. Smug in his authority, he was completely unaware that by stonewalling a county detective over a simple security tape, he wasn't just creating a headache for himself, he was signing his own career's death warrant. So, Uncle Rick got the warrant. Incredibly, the school then decided to fight that warrant in court, citing student privacy concerns. This is where the real revenge begins. A few days later, Uncle Rick showed up at our house carrying a laptop bag. He looked at me with a grin and said, "Throw this in your locker and make sure you tell everyone you know about your brand new laptop." I was a bit confused but agreed. 3 days later, I went to my locker between classes, and sure enough, it was gone. The laptop, the bag it was in, a big bottle of Coke, and even a few pens had vanished. I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text to Uncle Rick. The laptop got taken. His reply came almost instantly, "Stand by for the shit show." Oh, and FYI, you reported the theft to the police. I just replied okay, more confused than ever, and went about my day. The next morning, the shit show arrived. Uncle Rick came to the school, this time with 3 uniformed officers in tow. They walked straight into a classroom and pulled out a student I'll call Kevin, along with his mom, who conveniently worked in the school's front office. The principal was absolutely livid. I couldn't hear everything, but his voice was raised, furious that the officers had the audacity to accuse them of theft and disrupt his school. It turned out the laptop bag had a GPS tracker hidden inside. After it was stolen, Uncle Rick got a warrant to search the specific house it had been taken to. The laptop itself was valued at over $1,000, which was crucial because it pushed the crime from a simple misdemeanor into a felony. This reveals Kevin's greatest fatal flaw, his unrestrained greed. After months of getting away with petty thefts, his arrogance blinded him to the possibility that one of his targets might finally be fighting back. The story exploded. The very next day, Uncle Rick set up a tent with a table and a banner just off school grounds. The banner read, "If you have had something stolen from your locker, see me." By the following morning, Kevin and his mom were front-page news. The investigation revealed that Kevin had allegedly used his mother's login credentials to access the school network and retrieve the locker combination list for practically the entire student body. He would then randomly open lockers, looking for anything valuable to snatch. Now, you might be wondering, as one commenter later asked online, why the mom was charged. Her direct involvement by providing the means for the thefts made her an accomplice. This reveals the mother's most shocking flaw, a complete abdication of parental responsibility, twisted into active complicity. Her actions didn't just enable a thief, they created one, and in the end, sealed both of their fates. With the public tip line set up, Uncle Rick racked up an astounding number of charges against them. The investigation he broke open charged Kevin and his mom with a staggering 9 felonies and 35 misdemeanors. Each locker theft was a separate misdemeanor, unless the value of the stolen goods exceeded $1,000, which made it a felony. The 8 other felony charges came from recovering high-value items like jewelry from other students' lockers. In total, the 9 felony thefts amounted to around $12,000, and the 35 misdemeanor charges added up to about $3,000. The best part for me personally? Because my calculator and the bait laptop were stolen on separate days, with the lock changed in between, he got a misdemeanor and a felony charge just for me, and I have to stress, this was only what they were, proven to have stolen because it was found in their possession. But the revenge didn't stop there. Next up was the school district. All of us who had been charged the $150 fee to change our locker combinations banded together and filed a class action lawsuit. The grounds were simple. The school knew about at least 44 proven thefts, and likely hundreds more, yet did absolutely nothing to investigate, instead profiting by charging victims. This sort of institutional arrogance isn't unique. As one person shared in the comments on my original story, their brother and 6 classmates had their lockers kicked in and vandalized. The school replaced their books with ancient ones, and then at the end of high school, billed them $450 to replace those same 40-year-old books, holding their diplomas hostage until they paid. My brother never got his paper diploma, stating the paper wasn't worth the money. In our case, there were 218 people in the class, and after the attorney's fees, we each got back $85. The principal also lost his job for his complete failure to address the massive, ongoing problem. The school had justified the $150 fee by saying they hired a locksmith. While they had already paid that money out, the lawsuit forced them to refund a portion of it, costing them $21,800 plus their own significant legal fees. Finally, the criminal trial. The prosecutor offered a deal, 10 years for Kevin and 15 for his mom. They refused and took their chances at trial. It didn't go well for them. They had Kevin on camera entering over 20 lockers and had them in possession of stolen goods for every single charge. Kevin was sentenced to 1 year in prison for each felony and 1 month of probation for each misdemeanor, totaling 9 years in prison followed by 35 months of probation. His mom got it even worse, 18 years in jail and 6 years of probation. The judge was clearly not amused, especially given the likelihood that they'd gotten away with many other crimes that couldn't be proven. After all that, the most important thing happened. I got my graphing calculator back. My name was still engraved inside the battery compartment. I still have it to this day, along with one hell of a story to tell. In the end, this story is a powerful reminder that while institutions might fail you and criminals might feel untouchable, a little bit of cleverness and the refusal to be a victim can bring about an incredible reckoning. What's the most satisfying story of justice you've ever witnessed when someone in a position of authority completely failed to do their job?